Alaji, say the head of monitoring and enforcement for all the markets in Abuja, Abuja Market Management Limited. And that's his colleague, Mr. Sherry, Goodman also. So maybe you can just have a quick introduction from the.
Oh, my name is Yusuf Abubakar. I work out of corporate bank, JAIZ Bank.
Mrs. Takman, the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
My name is Dr. Smart, Federal Inland Revenue Service. I was
JAIZ Bank, alright. Okay, so quickly, usually like we normally do, we just give a quick brief. We'll do a quick, we'll do a technical round of the tour itself. We can also ask questions, and just find out exactly and what your roles and responsibilities would be, so that we can understand. Well, the active conservation of the environment, as you can see from our stuff, is an initiative by the FCT. It started about 2 years ago, and the idea is towards building Africa's first fully compliant ecosystem. Apparently, from research or from study, the Abuja Environmental Protection Board found out that Abuja is not even among the Green City Index. And Abuja is actually the youngest capital city in Africa, if not in the world. So what's the challenge? I mean, what's happening? We should be able to integrate environmental issues. And from what issues of environment are, is beyond just what is challenging surrounding. In fact, the new definition from UN says, what is around you, what is in you, and what comes through you. That's what your environment is, and everything has an impact on it. Businesses, all that we do has an impact on the environment. So the FCT is trying to actually coordinate climate change issues, environmental issues, and its effect on socio-economic activities. In the FCT. That's why I came up with this. And the model is very simple. Get the technology provider, okay? Let them deploy what they have on whatever means you want to solve the issue of renewables and electricity. And then also, be able to get them to participate then, but it has to be something that is scalable, that can be taken up to a bigger level to cover much more ground. And that's what it is. And the issues this is meant to address for the FCT while we have the ACE program is the issue of standardization. One, the issue of technology transfer and capacity building, the issue of job creation and revenue generation, and the issue of also safety and environmental and health issues. I'll start from the issue of standardization. Just last year, the SON, they were here also, and they gave us a document that has not even been properly published. But the document actually tells about the standards of lighting, solar lighting and the rest of it in Abuja, or in Nigeria generally. And that was just developed last year. And solar has been around for a couple of years. You hear people say solar is not working, it's not doing this, it's not doing that. So we're now beginning to see what happened before then. There were no issues of standardization. Stuff came in, dump it on people, and people pay so much. I know Nigerians basically, once you don't know something, you just push it aside, you go to the one you know. So people have been skeptical about renewable energy, particularly solar, which applies to us here. So the issue of standardization has been an issue, and that's what this is also meant to address. Any foreign institution that is coming in, anybody who is practicing as a technician or an electrician should be certified. There should be certain standards that they should look for, so that even you, the consumer, also should know what you are looking for. And so that the way you go to a pharmacist and they say, if you don't have a certain sign on it, whatever you're buying is at your risk. Those are the things we intend to. Then the issue of technology transfer and capacity building. Solar is not, or renewable energy generally, it's not something so difficult that our own people cannot learn. But the challenge is we produce in nations that are in China and Europe and all that. When we come here, we bring the stuff here, we consume, but it doesn't have any impact on us here. Then the companies that sell also here in Nigeria have the law that says that they can take all the money away. So really it doesn't have any socio-economic impact. Nobody's learning, nobody's growing, we're not getting jobs. So So it's also meant to address that. So every company that is going to be part of this, foreign institutions, or should have a social development plan or over a period. So if you're coming in here, I'm selling 100,000 units. If I'm giving you the platform to come and do it, you should be able to have a plan for us over the next 2-3 years on how to create jobs, how to set up a factory and manufacture and all that. So that's also that. Then the issue of safety and environment, especially for the market here, I'd like you to chip in a few things. Some of the practical examples they had, issue of safety, environmental health, lung diseases, noise, and all that. Even here, where you have petrol and diesel powering some gens there. I mean, there's so much. You have about all these small generators, you have them there. Over 2,400 liters of petrol every time on the premises. If fire goes off here, it has very dire consequences. So those are some of the things we also wanted to address. And then of course, like I said, job creation and revenue. Well, that particularly, I'm happy that the institutions here are financial institutions. And numbers are also important. For the federal revenue, that's to do with revenue. When these companies come in, how do they have impact? How do we follow them up? How do they know that this is what they're supposed to pay? That also has an impact on activities for the nation and for the FCT. And of course, the financial institutions, we need to begin to look at mortgage systems. What we're planning is to deploy, and then people don't pay upfront. Okay, but we have a prepaid metering system that replaces your generator, or that's alongside your NEPA. So as you are paying for your NEPA, the way you pay for your NEPA, 11 naira per kilowatt hour, we should be able to also set limits for solar that should reduce over time. So in the first few years, okay, you can say 20 naira per kilowatt hour. So once NEPA goes off, you have your prepaid meter for the solar working, so it automatically comes in, and then people can buy, people can control what they use. People can say, rather than that initial capital cost, that's really a problem for most people. So basically, those are the core issues we're trying to address. And then of course, as a pioneer active conservation institution, the idea you are relevant in the success of all of this. So it's not some government just coming in and just imposing certain things. We want to carry you along as stakeholders. We want your input. Nobody wants to go against any laws of the federation. Even though we're doing something for the FCT, it should be within the confines of the political arena, the socio-economic arena, and all that. And that's why we've called you for the pre-commissioning, to explain this to you so that we also get it before the launch itself. You see what is happening. So I'll just like you a few minutes to just. It's usually more persuasive than I am. At times he says, you believe me that
what they are doing, it has an impact on what we do. And actually, when they approach us with the proposal through Abuja Environmental, one, we saw it as a viable project because of the environmental issue. And at the same time, we have had issues in the markets. I remember every first time we had Executive Secretary Health. Also, one of my interviews, she was complaining of the pollution in the market. She visited some hospitals. She found that most of the people that had lungs problems were traders, Also now, by the introduction of the solar energy, it's like we're trying to do away with the pollution. One. Secondly, to monitor the market for security reasons, it needs lightning in the night, and it also needs electricity. In most cases, whereby there's no light problem. So now with the solar energy, you have it. Well, it's not like having just an inverter. The inverter can run that in the next 7 hours, 5 hours, depending on the capacity. But with the solar energy, if there's no light, the solar feeds the inverter and the light will on and on 24 hours. And at the same time, usually we notice that traders used to put petrol inside their shops. and because it is humid and hot and the heat and heat, so sometimes we used to have fire outbreak. So with the introduction of solar, we don't need to have a generator. This is that which, and also the noise pollution that affect their ears as well. So these are things that we've seen, and we welcome them, and they're having a pilot project here. So there are cameras. They install their cameras in some flash points, so that we can see. As I'm people checking in, I'm even looking at it on my laptop. I can see one of them. I'm seeing the market from here. So we can monitor and see what is happening around the market, you know. So it's something that is important. That is why we're giving them the platform. At the end of the day, we intend to have the cameras all around the market so that we can have total coverage. Not only that, we also intend to put the same project in other markets so that we can monitor it.
Do you have any remarks or any questions before we go for
Well, I wouldn't want to present what we are going to see. Comments, I think, should come after we have seen whatever it is you guys know. Yes. All I know or I have heard is that there are issues with the solar system in terms of maintenance and cost. I wouldn't know how you guys are going to attack it. Maybe there are different forms of technology. We will have a different technology that you guys have that is going to work this time around. I've had people that have installed this and it has not worked for them. Maybe it's because of technical support and whatever. You explain further.
all right. Those were issues that actually more or less necessitated even what we're doing now. That's why what we did. If solar was something that was so popular, we probably wouldn't necessarily need to explain to you or try to persuade you or anything. But as we talked about the issue of maintenance and cost, that's why we decided to go a no initial cost system that doesn't have any initial burden on the consumer, which is usually the challenge. Over the long term, solar is usually cheaper, but initially it's always a bit difficult to acquire it. So now that we have like cluster, the market is a cluster, so you have enough people there, you can manage a system, and you can do design. Now, for that handles that. So everybody has a prepaid meter, just like the way you have your NEPA. There is a certain amount that is taken away from you every month, maybe 650. I think they increased it to 1,002 recently or something. That's every time you go to pay at the end of the month or something like that. Then you now have your metering system itself, which gives you, credit, which you use usually. Now the issue of workability, which is also has a little bit of attachment to standardization, but not just standardization for solar. Solar is user specific. And it's important to be able to design it to fit the needs of what you're using it for. It's not like people always seem to compare solar with generator. You know, a 2 kVA generator is a 2 kVA generator. If you put the petrol and you start it, it will start and power 2 kVA. If you put more load on it at that time, it will scream. After a while, it will shoot shut off itself. But with solar, it's a bit different. Let me give you a good example. A 2-bedroom apartment with usage, or a family of just 2, husband and wife, would be different in terms of use and consumption with a family of 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. So when somebody says a 2-bedroom apartment, really, how many people are using it? So whatever energy you are using draws from a bank. You store up a bank, a battery bank, then you draw from it, and then you have your solar also powering. So it's usually those are the issues that come in. Then also the issue of I've talked about design, right? The issue of even the amount of energy that is backing up the solar that you have. Because right now we can't do a fully off-grid system. We can't push NEPA out now until whatever privatization or whatever. So NEC still holds that part up, at least a certain amount of NEPA. So we're not pushing NEPA out. First and foremost, we are replacing generators as vis-a-vis security issues, safety issues, environmental issues. So what happens is that a house or an environment that gets 4 hours of NEPA per day will probably need a slightly bigger system than an environment like my Tama that gets maybe 20 hours per day or 12 hours of NEPA per day. Those are the issues. So these are the issues we've talked about. It's not that they're quacks. It's just that they don't have enough information. An electrician comes, an electrical guy comes to you. He just wants to sell a standard system. He doesn't first of all carry out an energy audit to find out what exactly are your needs over a period of, let's say, 1 week. How do you use it? What are your habits? Somebody who goes to work in the morning and doesn't come back until afternoon, what are the peak hours of use? Those are issues that we will sit down with, find out with the people. Then with the issue of maintenance for the market particularly, that's outside even the other scope we're going to be talking about, is that the factor of maintenance has been factored into your prepaid metering. So you don't bother, nobody's bothering about maintenance. There'll be station stoppage, the way you have your elevators in companies, they tell you Otis, maintained by Otis. The experts, they'll come in there if there's any challenge, and since it's within the same environment, it's easy to move around and attack issues as they come. But that being said, maintenance as much as possible for these systems are minimal. We're also leveraging on the fact that we're talking about made in Germany, seal of quality. That also has its own part, whether we like it or not. Standards are being adhered to from where we're coming to. And we also understand that if it doesn't work, you don't get paid. It's as simple as that. If it doesn't work here, we don't get paid. So it's spread over a period of time anyway, your income. So the day it goes off, the man can say, it's not working, so he can't recharge his system, so the money doesn't come to you. So those are the issues we try to balance and ensure that the consumer, as much as possible, has the final say. And that also puts us on our toes to ensure that things work.
You see, actually, he asked a very vital question. If you look at the CCTV camera project in FCT, it has been so long time, but I don't think it's working, and nobody is asking any questions.
I have asked questions.
No answer.
So, you see, sometimes I don't know why, I'm sorry to use this word, we Nigeria are stupid. Something that billions of naira have been spent.
$600 million.
For this project.
And this is almost 3-4 years. Nobody is saying anything. That is why, you see, when we think of technical support, it's something that is vital. You see, even me, in my own view, the reason why I feel safe with their project, one, our main interest is to make sure that we use the solar energy, and because at the long run we have almost 1,600 shops, we have 500 information. So if we power all this, because of the volume of people, eventually it's cheaper than using a generator. Using a generator, you spend like $2 a day. Translating to 700 times 30, put on the money in a year is big money. I'm sure with the solar energy, we spend less. So our interest is to make sure that at least the traders get discounted energy supply. That is one. And about the health issue that I talked to you about is also our concern. But the reason why I look at the technical aspect of it that you asked, sometimes a project is done and lost technical support is a problem. And because the person that installed and is just, gets away thing, he has already collected his money, he can't even come back to address issues because you need to put in money to solve the issues, But they have a business interest. As long as people are using solar, they are being paid. So they cannot get money from what is not working. So that is the safety of what I think we are here. Yes. So alternatively, I don't know the arrangement with individual organization whereby they are not enjoying that business relationship. I don't know whether in all the other places they are going, whether of course the energy will be paid for or it's a one-stop thing. If it's a one-stop thing, that is why somebody will look at the technical issues. But if it's a continuous thing that they'll be paying for the services and what have you, of course they have to manage to get the money. You know, so that is that. I have a question.
I think it has to do with educating, because I come from a background of small company, they have this energy research department there, and then they deployed such kind of projects in localities around. I was being programmed ever since then to understand that there's a limit to the kind of gadgets you place on power, on solar, water. How true is it if you can change? Because I know, for example, in my organization, there are things we use that are heavy, that maybe they want to, because most of our officers now we're trying to. And then when all those women, when they come, they need power to power most of their machines to work. So how compatible is solar energy with most of all those?
Let me first say something. When they say a 1.5 horsepower air conditioning, for example, what it means is they start off energy to get it started. You see, the moment this room is cool and we have all these doors locked, what is being used in terms of energy is very minimal. And that's why our systems can power fridges. I mean, for what we're trying to do now for the markets, we have something that works here. We've looked around, except for the cold room at the other end, which we have another solution for. There's something called geothermal energy. You can read it up and understand what it's all about when you get back. Geothermal energy uses water from the ground. It uses heat from the ground source to actually provide as much cold air you want. Use it through an heat exchange pump or a pump, and then it can also provide hot water. So, but for the market, because this is the weak market for the market, nobody takes his bath here, nobody really does anything. In terms of, it's minimal. In every shop, you can't find somebody having 2 ACs. The minimum you find is 1 AC, or at the most. So basically, there are systems, there's an energy audit we have done, and so we actually would, fit what is equivalent to ensure that they get those energies. Now, for, like I said, for those equipment, really, people just assume we're going to come into your organization, for example, and do a proper energy audit. There are equipment that tell you can put it on for like a week, see what your energy needs are, how you're using the energy when you put it on, and all that. And it's based on that will help I can scale up what we have. Now, the batteries you will see power nuclear reactors. They're the ones that even power trains, these fast-moving trains. You're going to see them. So it's an issue of storage. Now the Germans are working on, in fact they just released that in April, although it's not commercial yet, maybe in another 1 year. They have batteries that are 8 times more powerful than what you find in the market now in terms of storage. Because over the next 20, 30, 40 years, it's not going to be an issue because they're moving to renewables fully. So it's an issue of storage really. Remember when we used to have big computers, mainframe computers, but today now, some of these our phones can, small, microchips can do even more powerful activities than a big computer. So those are the things, economies of scale. Once we begin to do big projects like this, it becomes cheaper. It becomes more technology. Governments are funding. Obama, for example, they're pumping more research. They're pumping so much into it and all that. And then these are all the exchanges we also want to enjoy. We want to see how revenue. We go on a solar tour, see how nations like that have survived, what they've done, how they've generated revenue from this, what are the options that are available, and all that. So really, it's an issue of, you will see it will come on. And then usually, the issue has always been the issue of renewable energy must come with energy efficiency. That's very important. they're opposite sides of the same coin. I'll give you a very clear example. If you have your 60 watt bulbs or your 100 watt bulbs, that consumes 100 watt per kilowatt hour. That means 100 watts, that's what it's taking. Now, you now have energy efficient bulbs or LED bulbs that are 3 watts, 5 watts, that even provide more light than even the other one. Now, in my bathroom, if I use a 100 watt bulb, for example, or a 60 watt in my kitchen, and I put it on continually, that means if I have a 3-bedroom apartment where I have my 3 watt bulbs, 12 of it, right? That's just 36 watts. Meanwhile, that's what 36 watts for the whole house. But really, if I just do my solar and I don't put all those other factors into place, actually what I'll be burning per kilowatt hour will be 60 for just one. Multiply that against 12. So those are the issues. Sometimes we go into the room, we're not there, we put on light. In some parts of the world, energy efficiency says if you're not in the room, the light goes off. We have echo, we just have sensor, motion sensors that it goes off. It's not being used, so it's not drawing on the energy. So those are the. And then what we're also going to do is also bring alongside energy efficient appliances and give to these guys, or give to homeowners or those who want to buy. So rather than having a fridge that consumes all your, we'll come and do it. That's the essence of the energy audit, really. We want to find out how best. So because sometimes somebody says I want a 5 kVA system, but really it doesn't need a 5 kVA system. What it needs if we do a proper energy audit is a 3.5, which means that it won't need to spend more on batteries. I mean, to save in another maybe 500,000 or 1 point something, or 800,000. So those are the things that it's all about expertise and knowledge. Like Alaji would always say, technical backup, and then the idea is to transfer it also. So we're looking at, as part of corporate social responsibility, go to schools, their Introtech lab, show them how they, when we were young with Introtech, we'll fiddle with something, and then when you grow up, there was a time computer science was not a course in the university, but because computer became an important part of our life, schools started taking up that challenge to study or to learn computer science. It now becomes a course on its own. So I think renewable energy as a whole, the mix of it as a whole, is something we need to begin to really make use of.
And just to add a little on, in terms of efficacy, like in terms of you're using this, for instance, you're used to the level of brightness. Does it come in that same way, or because you're minimizing the energy use, it's not that efficacious? Because for instance, there was one that was brought marketed in one of the communities that we work in, and I took one, but I did observe that the brightness is not it's
called lumens. That's what's called lumens, and those are the issues we are talking about with standards. There are lumens. Lumens means the illumination of the brightness. Somebody just brings a watt for you or an LED watt. There are machines or equipment that test lumens. But because somebody just brings it and packages it for you, don't know. You are not. So those are the things we're saying, that they cannot come into this Abuja if it does not meet the standards that we set. That's the essence. So those who sell, so technicians, for example, will certify them. You, who is a consumer, once this technician comes, if he's not certified, he's a quack. That's what we're saying, it is at your risk. And we're going to do a proper public enlightenment for people to see, to hear and do all this and that. There's a way you just know when you want to go and buy a computer. Everybody now knows because you use it all the time. They say, no, give me 2 gig. What's the RAM capacity? What's this? What's that? It's just because you are a bit enlightened about it. Before, even to send email, you have to go and give it to somebody. Somebody will tell you, they'll charge you so much and all that. But on your phones you can do all sorts. Because you have become used to it. It has become part of your life, and you are more enlightened about it. So those are the things that we intend to do. We want to enlighten you. We want the people to know about energy efficiency. We want to let them know what exactly they are buying. So once people know that, just the way you go and buy a battery, you won't buy the wrong thing now. When you know that there's original in the market, and you see the one that is not original, once you're enlightened, just say, okay, this one, what's the lumen capacity? Okay, do you have the let's test it. You test it there, okay, it's correct. Then you can take it. Or like that. That's what we're trying to achieve, really.
Mine is also with the distribution. Like a cluster environment like this market now. You intend to have a central system whereby the distribution is going to be on individual basis, because you see there's going to be an audit. Market now, each shop has its own requirements.
Yes.
Is it that from the central divided by its own, it's going to be each shop will have its own boundary?
Very valid question. Very valid question. What we're trying to get away from is the issue of supply and distribution and transmission, which has always been the issue we've had even in Nigeria. Our generation is not the problem. I'm sure enough energy is being generated. It's the issue of distribution. Losses are there. Now, the advantage that solar systems have is that they can be lateral. That means they can be done on a large scale and distribute, but they can also be done on a micro stage or lateral stage. Now, from the market here, every block, thank God the market people have already helped us out. Every block is 12 shops. When we go out there, we see that structure. So on each block, you just do an energy for those 12 shops. You understand? Then you have the solar panels that will power all of that. You have a big inverter that covers all of that. And then you have a battery bank somewhere. Then inside each of the shops is where you now have a prepaid meter. So that's 12 or 6 or thereabout. So we can do 6 because if you have 6 on that side, 6 on this side. So you put the panels on the stuff. You have an inverter powering 6 and battery bank for that.
Use the amount of resources you need to put into going around to look at what we can do now.
In fact, the deputy director for renewable energy program was here on Tuesday.
Okay.
And fantastic. I'm so excited. Okay, Dr. Dio, alright? It's important that we do it from the beginning properly, so that we can be able to do that in the area of revenue, and of course the banks, financial institutions. The financial institutions are not well schooled on this. That's why everybody is running away from investing in this. But this has a potential of turning around this economy, really. That's why we want to use this.
From my understanding of his question, you have not answered this question.
Okay.
What he's saying is a block of one block, and it has 12 shops.
Yeah.
Maybe one shop has AC, lighting bulb, and fan.
Yeah.
This one only has lighting. Doesn't need fan, doesn't need AC. Some are even parking store, they don't need the lights. Some only need fan, they don't need. You understand?
Yeah.
So each demand is different.
Yeah.
So what he's trying to find out, how is the charge is going to be? How is it going to be a uniform?
No, it's on
It's
pay as you go.
And the meter will indicate what you consume.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's exactly what he was
The meter was because if you make everybody pay flat, those are the issues that will be raised. Everybody will but this man is always having his AC. I know Nigerians will we will not want to use that AC very well now that we know.
That's luxurious.
This has actually gone through a bit of careful plan. Of course, we expect, like yesterday, some people even still give suggestions on how we can improve some of our street lights and all that. But over time, we've given a bit of thought to it. Then one of the things we've done also is we've added an revenue generating potential, which I know will interest the banks also, to the street lights. Now we have advert boards that are attached to the street lights. That to ensure, because from Elijah will tell you, the shop owners own the shop. They are concerned about their shop, but they believe that AMML should be in charge of the facility and should pay for certain things. So if you're now beginning to burden them with service charge for security and surveillance and all that and street lighting here, there's a tendency that everybody will become apprehensive again. So what we decided to do is have an advert board. About 3,000 people come into this market every day. So we have advert boards attached to the street lights, okay, where that would also serve as. Now it's not just one exposure, which is where the innovation really is. So an exposure for street light, for advert board, you find on street light goes for like 10,000 naira or 15,000 naira. But now we have the ones that scroll up to 4 or 5 as the case may be. So rather than having somebody pay 10,000 naira for that exposure or 15,000 naira. You can have 5 people on the same stuff paying 2,000 naira or 2,500 and you still achieve your 10,000 naira. Okay? And then that takes care. So that one takes care of the maintenance of that street light pole. Part of the revenue goes to AMML because it's their facility. And then also we also as technology providers also get our own part to pay back for the system. So those are the issues that are, and the numbers are good really. By the time we sit down, I know with the financial institution, the numbers are clear. It's not, as long as we get it right now. Thank God with the support of the NNCL, it's something that, as long as service is right, I think Nigerians generally don't mind. Usually the issue of you won't get the service and then you're still paying. So that's it. So we'll just quickly do the technical stuff. It's like a business model. It also has a very powerful branding model. Because by the time you mop up all the batteries around, and it's your battery that we are seeing in the market, you are generally just edging out some other companies and you're coming in and begin to trust you, begin to get all these things stuff. So you can have this up to 3,000, like you have bigger ones like this. You have the dry gel.